everybody. So today we're going to talk some more about Pluto's return here in the US. This will take place on July 11th and 12th of 2022. The first exact pass took place in February of this year. This one though feels like a bigger deal to me because transit Pluto is retrograde right now. The US's natal Pluto is retrograde, meaning transiting Pluto is coming home in the exact motion that it is in the US's natal chart. So this particular conjunction, transit Pluto to natal Pluto, definitely feels like it is a big one. I also wanted to go ahead and talk about this. I might make another video about it even closer to the time, but I wanted to go and talk about this because of the stuff that happened this past week in the US with Roe v. Wade being overturned, and with the case was Vega versus Teco. I might be pronouncing Teco wrong, but it's Tekoh. And this case had to do with Miranda versus Arizona, and police having to, and law enforcement having to read Miranda rights to people when they're arrested. And it was found, the Supreme Court found that police don't have to read Miranda rights when somebody's arrested, and that Miranda rights are not constitutionally protected. That feels like that could bleed over into some areas, definitely. Now, before I get started on this, I did a blog post. It was like in April of 2021 about the U.S.'s solar return for 2022-2023 from its birthday on July 4th of 2022 through its birthday on July 4th of 2023. And some people say that solar returns can start, like the impact of a solar return can start a month or two before the actual solar return begins. You'll start feeling the currents of how that solar return will feel, even when the other one is still going on. And in this solar return for 2022-2023 for the US, I noticed that Saturn happened to be in the ninth house. And I was really harping on this to the point where I was looking up Supreme Court cases. Like, I was really harping on this about that particular solar return year, which is about to start. The Supreme Court, ninth house is higher courts, the Supreme Court doing some shit during 2022-2023. And I was thinking it would be more limiting or restrictive in nature because Saturn can be limiting and restricting. I love Saturn, but because of the way the US was going when I did this blog post and because of how it's going now, Saturn did feel like it might function in a more limiting or restrictive way. I will link it so that you can check it out if you want to. But that definitely seems to be the case, especially with the shit they're doing right now. Now, you know, Pluto's return, this kind of ties into that too. Pluto's return, and Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, right? This is also ruled by Saturn. I think that's another reason why Saturn in the ninth house stood out so much to me in the solar return. But, you know, Pluto is transformation. Pluto is death and rebirth, it's metamorphosis, all of these sorts of things, power and control. This is going on in the second house of the US's chart. I'll show it again just so you can see. It is going, yeah, it's in the second house. And the second house is like values, can definitely be resources and money. I have said before that I do think that the food production and the agricultural land, farmland, should be watched. I said that like a while back. I still think that that's true. Definitely should be, an eye should be kept on that. There could be things that transform with that. Obviously the markets, the economy could certainly play in as well because that's like a fucking shit show right now. That's being transformed. But values, specifically values. I think in this country, over the course of Pluto's entire return, we will be called to ask what it is that we collectively value as a country. And those values will be transforming because Pluto is transformation. But especially this year and especially this summer, I feel like we will be called to do that just because Pluto's return happens and it's via retrograde motion like it is in the US's natal chart. Now, in saying that, you know, it's kind of transforming the way that we think about these things, right? Like, okay, like with the Roe v. Wade thing. Take abortion out of the equation for a second. And think about what it boils down to, because honestly, Roe v. Wade could be about other things. If you boil it down to what it's actually about, it is about bodily autonomy, and it is about medical privacy. Regardless of how you feel about abortion or don't feel about abortion, from what I understand about Roe v. Wade, is that it really could boil down to these two things. So we could be talking about any kind of medical thing that maybe somebody was against or not, you know, lived in some sort of morally gray area. But the bodily autonomy and the medical privacy thing is a big deal here. Now, I do know that there are people that are cheering on Roe v. Wade being overturned. And they are the same people, or some of the same people, that would not want to be forced to put certain things in their body, would be very against that, would not want to be forced to have certain things happen to their body. But yet they are okay with forcing somebody to have a pregnancy that either they don't want or they can't actually carry to term for whatever reason, or, you know, a magnitude of other reasons. I guess my point is, collectively, and I hope it goes this way, I don't know that it will, but I hope it does. Collectively, I do think that we need to see the bigger picture with these different things, with these different issues that come up, with these different things that divide us as a country. And there are a lot of those things that divide us, that are very, very polarizing, that people have some big, strong ass opinions about. Abortion is one of those things, and everybody has a right to their own opinion on something like that. Absolutely. But regardless of what your opinion is on abortion, do you agree that you should have bodily autonomy? And do you agree that you should have medical privacy? Because this could literally be about anything, you know, beyond abortion. And I guarantee you, this is a dangerous precedent that they set. And this blows the door open for other things, for this to come into play in other ways. And I do think that it will, because with Saturn in the U.S.'s solar return chart for 2022-2023, there will be other things that they will revisit in some capacity that will probably have to do with this, that this is not a good precedent to set. I really don't think it is. Not that my opinion really matters, but I do think that it is a dangerous precedent to set across the board. And I do think that we need to ask ourselves if we accept that. I also think, and I've said this before too, I also think that there is a great need in this country to be able to say, you know, because we're not always going to agree with one another, right? We're not. But to be able to say, I don't agree with you, but I agree with your right to have that opinion. I agree with your right to be able to do what you want and live your life how you want. Because ultimately, I think that's what most people want, is to be able to live in peace and live how they want to live and do what they want to do, and everybody else stay the fuck out of it. Now, I did another video of Pluto's return a while back. I think it was about Pluto's return. And somebody left a comment that I didn't respond to, where they went on some tirade about how they wouldn't do that. They're not going to shut up. They're not going to agree to disagree, blah, 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 blah. I so badly wanted to respond with, then you're part of the problem. So I'll say it now. I'll say it now. That's being part of the problem. Not being able to agree to disagree. Because in a country this fucking big, with this many people, and just the way the U.S. is set up by design, we have to be able to do that, or I don't know that we can continue being a country. I don't know. Maybe that's some of Pluto's return too. I don't know. But I do think that we have to learn something about valuing that and being able to do that. I think it could be really bad for us if we don't figure out how to do that. Again, being able to put our own opinions to the side and see the bigger picture, which I do think is very important here. Yeah, I think it's very important, specifically in this. So around this time, definitely be asking yourself what it is that you value. And then when you think about even like not just abortion, but other hot button issues, other hot topic issues that you might feel really strongly about, and you have every right to do that. Every right to feel strongly about whatever you feel strongly about. But break it down further and think about what are the real core issues at the heart of whatever you feel very strongly about. Like you know, what do those actually break down to? Because if we start doing that with these hot button issues rather than like attacking one another for having differing opinions, but really breaking down what these hot button trigger issues actually are at the core. Because it usually does go beyond just the hot button trigger issue, like with abortion. This goes beyond just abortion and bleeds over into bodily autonomy and medical privacy. I think it's important that we do this at this time with our values collectively. I think it's just advice, just my opinion. Opinions are like assholes. But I do think we'd all be better off for it in this country if we did that, if we did just that. And I think that's actually how we can come together more, and I think that's how real change could happen. But it's up to us to do it and not be fighting one another. Know who we actually should be fighting, which isn't me little person versus you little person, another little person versus another little person. No. We need to be knocking on the right doors, and we're not. Anyway, I'm gonna head off. I hope everybody is okay though, in light of this past week. I know it's been a ride. I think Pluto's return will continue to be a ride. I'm not trying to be scary, but I think it will, so buckle up. But I do hope everybody is okay, and I do send everybody watching this my love. If you want to leave your own opinions down below, leave them in the comments. If you want to find me for a reading or whatever, I will put where you can find me below, and I will see you all later.